All right, so the first story of the day is about Syria. I've been talking about it a lot over the last year, but it's back in the news because President Trump, I don't know if he had his cup of morning Joe, but he woke up one morning and just said, we're getting out of Syria. He's talking about pulling half or all of the troops out of Afghanistan. I mean, he's doing what the anti-war left and the anti-war right have been wanting for, years now, which is remove our presence from the Middle East. And I've heard both sides of the debate. There's some veterans saying one way, some veterans saying the other. I find, weirdly enough, it's a lot of people who've never fought in war that are saying, we need to stay there. It's like, if you love war so much, you should enlist yourself rather than get a bunch of our people, caught up in conflicts that they don't want to be in. Anyway, so when it comes to Syria, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that the news isn't talking about. Yes, Trump wants to pull out. General Mattis is stepping down. I'm not sure if that's the reason. I don't want to speculate, but I'm guessing maybe Mattis has different plans for Syria and he didn't want to leave so quickly. But what happened in Syria and before I start too, I want to say that they're going to act like Trump is so crazy for parting ways with Mattis. You have to understand that General Mattis, it was reported in, I believe, 2013, that Obama kicked him out of his position without even giving him a phone call. So Trump is not the first one to part ways with Mattis. Obama did it as well, in possibly a ruder way, but maybe not. I don't know. Trump can be pretty strong. Anyway, so during the Obama administration, we were funding rebels. This is like the most important thing that people really need to understand, regardless if you're on the we should stay in Syria, we should stay in Afghanistan, or you're on the we should leave Syria, we should leave Afghanistan. No matter which side you're on, you have to understand what was going on and what the difference between Trump is, even if we stay or we go. During Obama's administration, we were funding rebels, okay? And these groups were, well, first of all, they destroyed Libya. We funded rebels that killed the leader of Libya. And now you see BuzzFeed mainstream reporting that there's open-air slave markets and a lot of the women are being sold into sex slavery and raped in Libya thanks to Obama and Hillary Clinton's foreign policy of funding rebels. Why is that not a good foreign policy? It sounds like, oh, normally you're just blaming Obama and Hillary. No, it's really not a good policy to me, because if you think about it, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, these are the terrorist groups that our news, CNN, Fox News, all of them, they claim to be fighting the terrorists. They say, we're going to the Middle East because we got to fight the terrorists. We got to kill the terrorists. We got to fight the terrorists. Okay, who are the terrorists? ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, and I'm sure there's other offshoots of those. The Taliban at one point, who worked with the U.S. government, it seemed like. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. So those are the terrorist organizations. In Syria, the Bashir al-Assad, the leader of Syria, regardless of whether you think he's great or not, he was fighting ISIS. The people of Syria don't like ISIS. ISIS does not like Syria. Syria is actually one of the more secular places in the Middle East. They celebrate Christmas. They have huge Christmas trees. It's one of the more Christian, safeholds in the Middle East, Syria. So ISIS does not like Syria. So you have ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra. They're fighting the Syrian government. And then the United States under Obama and Hillary Clinton come in and start funding rebel groups. Some people like Rand Paul and Tulsi Gabbard on the right and the left say that the rebel groups themselves are terrorists. And my friends in Syria say that they're terrorists as well. They're Islamicists who are, extremely religious to the point where they don't really hold regards for human life. And they were, ideologically not that much different from the terrorist organizations. That's what some people say. Even if they're not, even if they're really great people, the rebels, you have to understand the rebels, their job specifically, when Obama and Hillary were funding them, their job was to overthrow the leader of Syria, to kill Bashir al-Assad and to, install democracy, which is not really true. But when you have Bashir al-Assad fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and then you have the U.S.-backed rebel groups that are fighting the leader of Syria, you're obviously empowering the terrorist organizations because you're fighting the same person that the terrorists are fighting. So during Obama's administration, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS, all of these terrorist organizations took a huge stronghold in Syria, and they were terrorizing people in major cities, Mosul's in Iraq, but they took that over too. In Iraq and Syria, it was terrorist organizations that took over. a lot of people want to say anomaly. Obama did this. Obama, no, it's not Trump doing it. It's Obama. I mean, I don't know how foolish you think I am or other people are. Maybe other people are fools, but I'm not. There's a reason that the terrorist organizations were doing well during the Obama administration. It's because they were basically helping them. I mean, one way or another. First of all, there's reports, mainstream reports. I'm not talking conspiracy or whatever they want to say. LA Times reported that one side, the Pentagon, was funding someone that the CIA was, they were fighting someone that the CIA was funding. So Pentagon funding one side, CIA funding the other side, and they're fighting each other, both with U.S. weapons. It's not a surprise because, I mean, one, if you really want to look into it, good luck seeing what you find out. But another, even with the story that they told us, we're funding rebel groups who are fighting the leader of Syria, who's also fighting ISIS. So when you do that, you're empowering terrorist organizations. And of course, they're going to gain strongholds one way or another. And it's a really bad strategy. I mean, in Libya, like I said, there's open-air slave markets. Like, all the women are getting raped. There's organ harvesting. When you fund, even if Bashar al-Assad was that terrible, or Gaddafi was that terrible, or Saddam Hussein was that terrible, you have to have a real strategy. If you overthrow the leader and overthrow the government of a country, you better have like a real solution to put in place. Like, imagine, I'm not a big fan of, say, California's politics, but I do so at the voting box or with my mind, or I don't hurt people, very nonviolent. You know, if someone was to overthrow the government of California, that's a big feat. You better have something to put in place, because if you just start murdering people and you don't have a real solution to put in place, it's not going to be better than California now. It's going to be way worse. That's why I have love for American politics. I mean, yeah, it could be better, it could be worse, but like, we don't act like that. And, you know, that's how we got Trump, and one day we'll get someone else. You can't just kill the leader of countries or states or whatever you want to say, cities, and expect it to be like a democracy, a Western democracy utopia. That's just not how the world works. And that's what they did in Iraq, although Iraq maybe was a little worse off. That's what they tried to do in Syria. That's what they did in Libya, and it never works, because you're funding what some say are Islamicists, what others say are rebel groups, really great people trying to save the day. You're funding them to overthrow a leader when terrorist organizations are taking over. So the rebels and terrorist organizations work together in their agenda. So when Trump got into office, and people for some reason don't want to give him credit for this on the progressive left, a lot of people on the right don't know this. Of course, like modern day liberals who watch Rachel Maddow, they're never going to give Trump credit for this. But Trump overturned $1 billion CIA program where they were funding rebels. Trump got into office and said, this doesn't make sense, because it doesn't make sense. Regardless if you want to stay in Syria or you want to leave, what we were doing made absolutely no sense. I'm going to just repeat it so people don't get confused. We were funding rebel groups who were trying to overthrow the leader of Syria, while you had terrorist organizations trying to overthrow the leader. So you're funding the people that have the same exact agenda as ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and al-Nusra, and possibly the same ideology. Trump said, no, we're not doing that. Why would we be funding rebel groups? We don't even know who these people are. You know how Trump talks. We don't know who these people are. And people mock him and say he's dumb or something, but he's not. He's totally right. And he simplifies it. We don't know who these people are, and they're not doing the right thing. He cut the CIA program. He defunded them. New York Times wrote about it. It's mainstream publications. They tried to say it was Russia. It has nothing to do with Russia. Well, Russia is involved, but we'll get into that in a second. So once he cuts the funding, miraculously, Damascus doesn't look like it's taken over by ISIS. Hundreds of thousands of refugees start coming back to Syria. Now, like Trump said, ISIS has basically all been defeated. Syria is almost completely taken back over by the Syrian government, who protects Christians and other religions. They're not like Islamicist crazy governments like a lot of these countries are. They're actually a secular government that respects Christians and other religious people. The Druids, I think their name are, the Druids. I don't know how to say it exactly, but anyway. So Trump did that already. It's been wildly successful, and the really sick part of this whole plot is the same people that created the refugee crisis by going into Libya, by funding rebels, by destroying Syria and making it unlivable for millions of people. Those same people are the ones that are lobbying for this huge mass migration refugee intake of Europe, Canada, and America, they're the ones who caused it. And you have to understand, they created such a big crisis that in the mix of these people who truly needed help, there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Islamicists, terrorist people, people with sick ideologies, who were trying to use Europe, Canada, and the United States because of their huge social safety nets and welfare programs. And, you know, their overarching goal, many of them, not everyone, but there's people with an overarching goal. They want to destroy the Western world. They think Europe belongs to Allah. And maybe it does. I don't know. I'm not a historian. I don't know how this is going to play out, but that's what they think. So the sick thing is, people say, well, the reason they were trying to take in all the refugees was because they messed up, and, you know, that now they feel bad. But it's not true, because everything they do, they destroy, and now they want to destroy Europe and America and Canada. Some would say they made a mistake and they're trying to make up for it. The more I look at it, I think these Islamicists and these refugees are, and some of them are real, but a lot of them aren't. I think they're being used as a pawn to destabilize. Sorry, someone called in. They're being used as a pawn to destabilize America, just like they destabilized Libya, just like they destabilized Syria. And I feel like they're trying to destabilize Europe, Canada, and America, because that's what these people do. Everywhere they go, they destabilize, they destroy, and then they take over. They didn't control Libya or Syria, so they wanted to control it. They lost the election in the United States, now they want to control it. They want to open the borders all of a sudden. Chuck Schumer, who went from saying, oh, I believe in big borders and illegal aliens or illegal aliens, don't call them immigrants, to undocumented, he won't even say the word anymore. It's not because he actually cares, it's because he doesn't control power anymore. And this is what these people do. They destabilize, start wars, start conflict, lie in the media to create mass division, sow chaos, and try to take advantage of the power vacuum. So they created a refugee crisis. You have to understand, Europe doesn't need to take in millions of people from the Islamic world. The only reason they said that they needed to take them in, which they don't, is because they destroyed Libya and Syria with their awful policy of funding rebel groups to empower terrorist organizations to destroy secular governments or progressive governments that are, you know, getting Africa and the Middle East into a better place than they were. So it's really, really sick what they did. It's war crimes to the nth degree. It's absolutely made the Muslim world hate the Western world more. It's made us less safe. It's made Middle East less safe. It's made Africa. It's a lose, lose, lose. It's lose for Muslims, lose for Americans. More Muslims got killed by you know, American interference and terrorist organizations. They kill more Muslims than anyone, and it's like a combination. And if you notice, in the media and for some reason on the progressive left, they have this weird alliance with like the strong Islamic world. I'm not talking about like a normal, you know, moderate Muslim. I'm talking about like an extremist. There's like this weird alliance there, and it's not a surprise. Not only do they align themselves ideologically in some weird ways, even though they wouldn't get along, because it's like the progressive liberal obviously would not last 2 seconds in the extreme Islam world, but like they censor people who don't agree with them. They clearly have the same war path in many ways. They fund each other and destroy countries. It's really strange stuff, but Trump did all of that stuff. So even if you want to stay in Syria, even if you want to leave Syria, what you have to understand is, if we don't do the right things, our presence in the Middle East is not going to help. It's not making us more safe. And it hasn't for probably at least the last decade, if not the last couple of decades. Not only are we losing our kids, you know, our young men and women who go bravely to fight the wars that all these pundits want to, they're like, oh, we need to stay in Syria. Well, then you put on an army suit and you go out to Syria instead of lobbying behind your keyboard like a little coward, which is what they do. We need to stay. Trump needs to stay. But it's like, yeah, you wouldn't last 2 seconds in those countries. These people are total pussies. Sorry. That's just how I feel about people who lobby for a war who would never go. So Trump did that, regardless if we stay or go, and that alone has helped free Syria, make us more safe. Now, people are saying we should stay, or that bad things are going to happen. Here's the thing as well. In Syria, there's also Iran, Russia, I believe Turkey, maybe other people. So there are some of our enemies there who possibly would want to take advantage of America. You know, I guess I'm trying to weigh both sides. I see that perspective for sure. If you talk to people from Syria, they say the difference between the U.S. and Iran and Russia is that Iran and Russia were invited. We weren't invited. We kind of just invaded Syria, and no one invited us, and they didn't want us there. And to be honest, we didn't really help. We kind of destroyed it, so they're going to celebrate when we leave, because we weren't being the America we're supposed to be. We're supposed to go around the world and save people, not cause conflicts and fund rebels and empower terrorists to take over cities. And that's what we did under Obama's administration, purposely or not, I don't know. But yeah, Russia's there, Turkey's there, Iran is there. As even in Yemen, I know a lot of people try to simplify that, because it is truly disturbing. There's like a, you know, what some would call a genocide. There's famine, starvation, but there's also, you know, Iranian-backed rebels there. The whole world is a huge cluster, proxy war. It's some really sick stuff. But Trump overturning the $1 billion rebel program, even before this even came up in the news, that was the big scoop that everyone missed. That totally changed the game, because when you stop pouring billions of dollars into people who are aligning themselves with terrorist organizations, of course it's a lot easier to get over. When it comes to Mattis or Trump, you know, I think Mattis did a really, really great job. I know he was, I believe, the first general, or the first whatever his position was, to be an actual military service member. Before, it was just suit and tie people rather than people who'd actually been to war. And I think that was great to have somebody who's actually fought and been there on the front lines to make decisions, rather than some dickhead, sorry, I couldn't think of a better word, who just, you know, makes millions of dollars off lobbyist groups. I guess maybe he doesn't see eye to eye with Trump. Some people like Mattis, I know a lot of people like Mattis that were in the military. He seems like a really great guy. Some people agree with him, some people agree with Trump. I think Mattis is a great guy, but I do really like what Trump's doing. I don't know that we have to be in Syria. I do agree with him that we did win the war, and him stopping funding terrorist groups or rebels or whatever, I'm convinced. I mean, I don't want to get too crazy on people, but I mean, I've been reading since the 2000s about Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, all of these organizations, whatever, they always change names. I'm not convinced that we weren't funding them. I'm not convinced that we didn't create them. I mean, you go back to bin Laden, before bin Laden did the 9/11 attack, allegedly. He worked directly with, you know, Saudi Arabia and the CIA. I mean, you could look at the Mujahideen in the 1990s. Bin Laden was an ally. He was never this poor Muslim guy living in a, I don't know, like they painted him like he was living in a cave somewhere. Oh, he's just some crazy Muslim guy who's hiding in a cave. No, he's a billionaire. Bin Laden's from a billionaire oil and I believe development family who like builds a bunch of stuff. He's not hiding. He was never hiding in a cave. Billionaires don't hide in caves. He was hiding in Pakistan, like Trump actually knew. Trump said it months before he got captured. He knew about it. But you know, we've had a really sick foreign policy for a long time, and I think Trump knows this. I think that's the main reason why he's hated. I wish people would give him more credit for what he did in Syria. He's talking about taking our troops out of Afghanistan. I guess I'm on the fence as far as, like, we've been in Afghanistan for how long? I don't know that it's got any safer. I don't know that we've helped that many people. I think we should be somewhere, personally. Like, we shouldn't pull all our troops home as far as, like, anywhere, but I don't think we need to have that many people in Syria. I don't think we need to have that many people in Afghanistan. Trump said America first, and he truly means it. So regardless what happens with the Syria stuff, hopefully people understand how important and how amazing what President Trump did was to this point, whether he stays or leaves. Even, I know the progressive left said, oh, why isn't he leaving Syria? Well, now he is, but even if he doesn't leave, do you not understand overturning a $1 billion rebel program is amazing? Like, do you not understand that freed Syria? And when you do this stuff, here's a win-win for both sides. There doesn't need to be this huge mass influx in Europe that's destroying Europe of all these refugees and migrants, because if you don't destroy Syria and Libya, there's not going to be a refugee crisis. So it's like what they did was like ruined everything. And to me, that's a major war crime. They should be tried and convicted. But to other people, that's just Tuesday, and they're going to complain about Rudolph and other things, and that's fine. But overall, let me know what you guys think. I'm okay with us leaving Syria. I'm okay with some of our troops leaving Afghanistan. I believe in America first. I do, though. Here's what a lot of people on the anti-war side, before I move on to the next story, a lot of people on the anti-war side don't understand there are real threats. Like, I do think the Islamic world, I'm not saying every Muslim, there's a lot of great people, but like the Islamic State, they're like very extreme. They want to implement an Islamic State. That's what ISIS stands for. They exist. Iran, I don't think the government of Iran really likes us very much. I don't think Turkey likes us very much. I like Russia a little bit better, but I don't really trust Russia. So these are real threats, and they are in Syria. They're also, I think, Russia and Iran. Russia moved some planes to Venezuela, and Iran put some naval ships there, I believe, and any more reason for a wall right there. The fact that Iran and Russia are moving into South America, it's like, oh, they could never have terrorists come from the South. It's like, how foolish, how naive could you possibly be? If it's easy to get into the country, people will get into the country. It's like leaving your window wide open in the hood. Like, yeah, someone's going to get in. How foolish could you be? But, these people do exist. So I like what Trump's doing. Trump is not weak by any means. I don't think we need to do what we did in Syria and Afghanistan, but we do got to keep our eye on Turkey, Iran, and Russia, because people will try to take advantage of us, and I don't really trust them. But I know that Trump knows this. Trump is not foolish. Trump is definitely not like shy. So I hope the next guy he brings in will do a really good job and be, kind, but without being weak. And I think Trump knows this. I doubt that he would just pull all our troops home and turn a blind eye to Russia, Iran, Turkey, and the Islamic State. But like I said, what Trump did really did defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And here's the last thing before I go on. They had to be lying during the Obama administration. They say, oh, we can't beat them. Like they couldn't defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda. We have so much GPS. Like, you can't even walk down the street without them advertising to you, like, oh, do you want this product? You're like, I just thought about that 40 seconds ago and said it. Like, they're recording our, voices and then advertising to us. Like, they have so much data and information from GPS to everything. You think that they can't defeat an army that doesn't even have a navy or doesn't even have, like, airplanes and functional a functional air force, and we can't beat them? Give me a break. Trump said he was going to defeat ISIS quickly. He did. It's not because Obama set him up. It's because he cut the $1 billion funding to rebels, and he actually tried to defeat ISIS. I don't believe for a split second that the last administration, if not the last two administrations, were even trying to defeat them. I think they were using these terrorist organizations as pawns to achieve their goal in Syria, to achieve their goal in Libya of total takeover. Just like the UN is using this migration pact and all these other goofy Paris Climate Accords, they're using them to achieve their goal. They use climate change and they use migrants and and women and children and all this stuff to do what they want to do. I don't for a second think they were trying to defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And for that alone, and I've been saying this for a year. If you watch this channel, I've been saying this and harping on it. What he did in Syria alone, what President Trump did in Syria alone, go against the military-industrial complex, overturn $1 billion program, free Syria, that alone is like a historic achievement that has maybe never been done. Bernie Sanders wouldn't have done it. Hillary Clinton wouldn't have done it. Mitt Romney wouldn't have done it. John McCain certainly wouldn't have done it. He was flying back over and talking to the rebels like those were his best friends. He was like, oh, no, you cut the funding to my friends. It's like, yeah, sorry, buddy, you can't overthrow countries anymore and empower terrorists. I know that makes you so sad, but like that alone is amazing. And even we're going to get into the next story, but like Trump is not perfect. He's made several things that I don't like this week, but it's like just this week, he's done more good things this week than Obama did in 8 years, than Bush did in 8 years. Like Trump in a week is better than Bush and Obama's 16 years combined. So it's like, I give him a break. Yeah, he doesn't do everything, but it's like these people were doing the opposite of good, evil. And Trump's a good guy. And I hope people really figure that out, because it's like, how much more does he have to execute? So that's my Syria story. Let me know what you think. God bless General Mattis. Thank you for your service. God bless Donald J. Trump. Thank you for your service. You're a legend. I'm sorry that everybody treats you so poorly because they're brainwashed by mass media. The next story, I want to talk about the GoFundMe wall. This is a little, hold on, let me fix my hair a little. You know, I don't want to look too ratchet for the camera. What's that? It's like a Jerry curl. All right. The next story is about the GoFundMe wall. So today, I think they're voting on it in the Senate. I don't know what's going on. To be honest, let me know when it's done. Oh, it's a nuclear deal. We're filibustering. Oh, we're going on government shutdown. I don't do politics. I know people think I love politics. I really don't. It's like, tell me when the wall's built. Tell me when it's funded. Don't tell me when they're doing nuclear option and